Knowing what the customer wants is difficult in some industries, especially if they're new ones like cannabis, because there's lots of new products and customers might not know what they want. But joining us today is rapper and entrepreneur Be Real. He is not only famous for his work with Cypress Hill, but of course, he has a chain of dispensaries called Dr. Greenthumb. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, with your dispensary, you are in charge of finding products that the customers want. And if the customer is always right, how are you figuring out what product to order for them?
I think it's important to recognize what are the trends in cannabis in terms of like genetics that are coming out. And people are really excited about exotic genetics. You know, maybe 5, 10 years ago, there was like, you know, everyone's go-to strain. They didn't try anything but that. That's what they wanted, and they weren't diverting from that or deviating from that. But in the last, I'm gonna say, you know, 5, 6 years, more and more genetics have been put into the market. A lot of hybrids and whatnot, some indica dominant, some sativa dominant, and people just go crazy for it. You know, they are wanting the most exotic strains that you could provide. Some that, you know, have, you know, maximum impact, and some that hit you lightly, and you sort of have to have a variety of all that. So, you know, what my team and I try to do is just keep up on what are the new genetics coming out, and getting guys on our team that actually can create genetics for us, so that we're not relying on having whatever everybody else has. We're trying to, you know, have our own thing. A lot of us have a lot of the same genetics, and we grow it different. Some of our SOPs are very different, but that's what it's about: finding those new so-called exotic genetics, and you know, be it from our brand or someone else's brand, and putting it on the shelf so that people can have that option. Because really, realistically, what the people want are options. It's not necessarily, you know, they have their favorites that they come to the shops for, but you know, some like trying other things, just, you know, to be open to the new things that are out there. So for us, it's always, you know, keeping mindful on who has the hot flower at the time, and, you know, trying to get them on the shelf. And then for us, as a competitive company, trying to find genetics that are just as good, if not better, as that.
And there's lots of different form factors too. Like in addition to flour, even though flour is usually the top seller and the top has the top market share, you know, there's edibles, and then you get into the concentrates, and it's like, okay, do I buy wax or shatter or crumble? And this is a product that you can't sample in the stores like at a grocery store. So it's a big, you know, purchase to just try something that you just don't know if you're going to like it or not.
Yeah, and more than anything, because that is now one of the booming products, or those are one of the many booming products in terms of concentrates of any kind. Yeah, you know, more and more people are coming to the counters asking our bud tenders about what concentrates they should get, or do we have this brand or that brand. So that's, and edibles, you know, because there's consumers that come in that don't necessarily smoke flower or do concentrate or tinctures. They are comfortable with the edibles. So for us, it's like, you know, social media is a good indicator on who people are excited about. So if you follow some of those particular you know, platforms, and who certain influencers are talking about, and aside from influencers, just seeing like, you know, on the hashtags on what companies people are getting excited about, and that would give us an indication on, you know, who we might be missing.
And you bring up a good point with the social media, because there are now a lot of celebrities signing on with cannabis, and
Right.
some are really involved. Some are like yourself, or maybe even a Wiz Khalifa, who have really intimate with the process. And then you have other celebrities that are really just signing their name as a licensing deal,
Right.
that are not so involved. And I know in the early days of legal cannabis, tying a celebrity name wasn't really a sure sign of success. There was a lot
Right.
of pushback because it's cannabis, and nobody, is really super impressed by some celebrities. But now we've got Jay-Z with Monogram, which is a very high-end product. Are you finding now that the cannabis consumer is more receptive to a celebrity endorsement, or does it really depend on that particular celebrity? And you yourself are a celebrity, so you know this from
It,
both
it
sides.
it's the same as it ever was, to quote the Talking Heads. It's the same as it ever was. People want to know that you've been in the industry as an advocate, an activist, a cultivator in the black market, something that you've been tied to this, that you put in the blood, sweat, and tears. And it's not just a money grab. It's not just an opportunity for you to make a lot of money, but that's the industry. A lot of it was tight knit before now, so it's very, they're very reluctant to accept if they don't know you, and if you're a celebrity coming in that they're not sure about, they're going to scrutinize, and then they're going to go to the brand and say, okay, let's see if this is worth buying or not. And sometimes a lot of the celebrities that come in, they don't do the diligence. They do a licensing deal or whatever. They might try to own a brand, but they partner up with the wrong cultivators or the wrong operators. And, it might be a one-time buy for some of those consumers. Like, I'll give it a chance. And then, they get the product, and they're the product fails to excite them, and it's a one-time buy. It's a novelty buy.
The authenticity. It's all about the authenticity.
Right. The authenticity and the quality of the product. Even if you're like authentic, right, and they know you've been an activist and they know you've been in here, they will scrutinize. And if the product is not up to par, again, it's a novelty buy. And I've seen it to a lot of celebrities come in, and some have been accepted, but that's because, depending on the celebrity and how much they put into the cannabis culture and industry as an advocate, and someone who has love for the culture, and it's not just about the money. They're more accepting. Like, for instance, Mike Tyson, when he came in, people loved him, and in his operation and who he partnered with, they did the right things. They got the right product, the right branding, the right promotion, stuff like that. And people accepted Mike. And a lot of us that know Mike, knew that he was, he was a stoner.
But what are your plans with Dr. Greenthumb? Because we've been seeing, so many brands expanding. Is that your plan? And what's your growth strategy for this company?
Yes, basically for us, it's about expanding at this point. We know that through the music, we've been laying the foundation for what is Dr. Greenthumb since 1998. So we know that we have the potential. Right. Yes, the long game. We have the potential to be a worldwide brand. We know they know the name worldwide. We haven't got outside of California yet. We've focused on our home state and tried to plant the flag strategically here. And once we feel we got everything locked up and locked down where we want, and where we're not oversaturating, but we got enough flags planted throughout the state, then we'll effectively move to other cannabis friendly states that allow the cultivation and allow the the retail shops and whatnot.
Slow and steady wins the race. And hopefully, we'll all be able to travel again. And since you're not in New York, which is where I'm at, and I haven't been able to get out to California, hopefully we'll be able to get our vaccinations and get in those planes soon. I can get out to California and come to Dr.
Yes.
Greenthumb's.
Got to do it. Got to do it. Yeah. And we, you know, for us, we want to get back on tour. We want to play the music. We want to, because we got new music coming out, but we also want to spread the word of the brand and you know, start the East Coast movement for us, because we know, you know, anywhere in that tri-state area, we would kill it. In
Right.
Boston, we would kill it, because I mean, it's a culture that we've been serving forever with the music. And they hear about what we're doing in California, so they want to have that Dr. Greenthumb California experience. So that is one of the big things that we're intending to push on, is getting over into the East Coast and Chicago, if possibly, you know, because we know that would be a market that we'd absolutely kill it in. So, but slow is the roll for us. We're trying to get it right and not rush and stumble along the way like many have, and miss, you know, let things fall through the cracks. We want to get it right, basically. So that's the intention, expanding slowly but surely.
Great. Well, slow and steady wins the race. B-Real, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us here at Green Market Report. We appreciate you and we appreciate your support.